Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're all well. If you can hear me and see me, please let me know in the comments. If you can just let me know. That way I know everything is okay. That'd be great. Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Mimi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the photographer, account, and training manager here at Focal. Some of you might know me very well. A few of you have actually met in person before. So for those of you joining again, hi, welcome back to the second Vieweet webinar that we're doing. So before we get started, I just wanted to say that the Q&A is in the chat box. So what I'll be doing is I'll be doing a really short presentation to start with, and then I'll be moving on to open up the floor for Q&A. But you can write your questions at any time in the chat box and I will answer them later on. So the other thing I wanted to say before we get started is I have the Z1 here, and I just wanted to show, because we'll be talking a lot about or I'll be mentioning the front of the camera versus the back of the camera. Okay, you guys can hear me and see me fine. Perfect. So the front of the camera is the side, and this will be for all Ricoh cameras. Oh, now I don't know if you'll actually be able to tell because it's black. But you'll see here there's nothing on the front of the camera, so it's completely blank. This should be the side that you're facing towards any front shot. So anywhere that you're going, this front shot should be facing the correct way. And then at the back, obviously this Z1, I don't know if you can see it here. Sorry guys, I know it's all black here. So the Z1 has a sort of digital screen at the bottom, but it also has the button here. So all the Ricoh cameras will also have this button. So this is the back of the camera, so it should be the side, the back. I was going to say facing you, but really you shouldn't be in the shot, so but you know what I mean. Okay, cool. So let's get started. So for those of you who were here last night, this presentation will be a bit of a repeat, we'll open up for Q&A afterwards, so you might hear some of the same things. So also, before I start the presentation, I also wanted to say the reason we're doing this is because this is very much the Vieweet 360s are very much a customer-led request for us to be letting you know what is a pass and fail criteria, what the customers are looking for, what they want. So we've been really on this sort of 360 feedback as of lately, and I'm sure some of you are quite aware, getting emails and phone calls and things. So I wanted to be just completely clear and transparent on why we're doing this and why we're doing this now. Vieweet itself is a fairly new product. I know some of you have been doing it for over a year, and most of you will have been doing it since the pandemic. But even so, the product is still new. They are a startup tech company. Those of you who have been using the app and who have been sort of with us since the beginning journey, you will know very well how it's how it's evolved and how they've taken all of your feedback on board. Yes, there's still a lot of things that they need to consider. Yes, there's still a lot of feedback that they need to take on board. They are constantly doing updates. They're constantly working on things. So if you do have any technical issues with Vieweet, please contact them directly. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do on our end to fix any technical issues. But please let us know. You can reply to me. If you send myself or Tom some feedback on Vieweet, we will send it directly to them, just so they're aware and could potentially know about it and include it in their next update. They've also asked me to ask you guys if you are having any crashing issues with the app, please let me know. I just need to know what phone you're using and what camera you're using, and when it happened, and then I will report back to them, or you can also send them that information directly as well. So they're really working on all of the bugs and the crashes and things as well. So yeah. So again, today we'll be talking just about Vieweet 360 tours. I think everybody on this call is currently doing them, so that's great. We're going to be discussing the pass criteria, so there's a lot to go through. So again, any questions you have, please type them in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer. So first of all, let's start at the beginning. There's a few things in order for your 360 to pass in terms of the front external. The first and foremost, that your front external should be facing the front door. So as I showed you the Z1 camera earlier, I know it was all black and there's not much light, so sorry if you couldn't see the button, but just ensuring that the camera is facing the front of the camera, just to reiterate, is the side that has nothing on it, so it's the blank side, and the side with the button is the back of the camera. So yeah, just ensure that that's facing forward. There's also a starting point issue on the app, which they are fixing, so we should be getting an update on that by the end of this week, but they are introducing the starting point, and for some of you might already have it in the app if you have the latest one. It doesn't work. There's been some technical issues with it, so they are fixing that, so you'll be able to adjust the starting point as you go as well. Again, with the front external, you must include the front external. So even for flats, we just need a shot of the front external, and that can lead straight into the flat building where you just see the front of the door of the flat. So it doesn't need to be through the corridors or anything. You can just go straight from the front external into the flat. So yeah, but we do need all front externals, please, otherwise it won't pass. If for whatever reason you can't get a front external, we completely understand. There are issues with weather or safety, etc. All you need to do is just to let us know via the job notes. So just type in the job notes, and then that way we can let the agent know, and we can also, it will avoid us chasing you. So that's always a bonus. So yeah, please just update the job notes. And the extra step I would say is to potentially let the agent know as well if you can. So yeah. The next thing with the front external is that it must be first, so it must be the very first shot that starts the tour off. Next thing is doors open at all times. Now I know there has been since I've had the webinar with you guys yesterday, I've had a lot of questions and sort of chats about this. So the doors internally should be open, so the front door should be closed. All of the doors internally should be open. There are circumstances and situations where this cannot be the case or should not be the case. So for example, fire doors that need to stay closed, and cupboards, and then someone brought up yesterday that in the corridor, in the front corridor, there's a tiny toilet, and the door opens, it actually not in the toilet, but it opens out to the corridor, in which case if you did have the door open, it wouldn't be very nice. So there are exceptions, but in general the reason for this is so that the tours really flow from one space to another with the door open. So all doors open, and also sometimes for some reason we have a lot of photographers who have the door open, for example in the corridor, and then once they get into a room they'll close the door. We don't know why that is. Please don't do that. Just leave the doors open. It will make the tours flow much better. The second reason for the doors open is that you get obviously we have no external light for the 360 tours, so you will also get as much light as you possibly can flowing in from all of those other rooms. So yeah. Next thing is in internal shots, and this is something that we've noticed a lot recently, but internal shots must start in a sensible direction. So a lot of tours will start with the next hotspot, the next link, the next panorama facing towards a cupboard or a blank wall. And so it really throws the tour off. So if you are experiencing any issues with this, please let me know right away. I will send this to Vieweet, because if you're pointing the camera in the right direction and not against a wall, it should start where you're pointing the camera to. So yeah. Again, I just want to reiterate, this is specifically customer request. So this is very customer led. This is what the customer is requesting, as well as us wanting to obviously help give a really good product. So yeah. Next thing is making sure that the images are straight and not slanted. So wonky tripods, monopods, etc. We've seen a few that are slanted, and unfortunately that will not pass the 360. So yeah, just make sure that they are straight. Next thing is no visible distortions in the image. So here we have an example. Sometimes obviously if it's drizzling a little bit, you can sort of get the camera wet, and or get the lens wet and cause a bit of distortion. So please just make sure that you fix that before you continue with the tour. Next thing is quite a lot of this actually is exact same rule for the 360 tour as with our still photos. So no people or animals in the images at all. It's definitely going to fail if we see any people or animals in the image. So one thing that has also been brought up recently is sometimes there are people working from home, sometimes they walk around, whatever. So one way of doing this is just making sure, just be very clear with them and let them know when you're doing the 360, and let them know that they need to be out of the shot. Okay, so this is a really good example of what I was speaking about before, about the toilet where the door is coming out into the corridor. But that's just brushing on what I was saying before. The next thing is that all rooms must be included. So yes, that means even little rooms such as this, which in this tour has actually been missed out and would not pass. Okay, so next thing is the rooms being labeled correctly with the correct spelling. So if you're doing this on the desktop, please make sure that you are labeling the room exactly what it is, and please double check the spelling. One of the many benefits of using the Vieweet app is you will have a drop-down menu, so you will potentially avoid this 100% of the time, but definitely will not pass if there's any labeling or spelling issues. Next thing is all hotspots to be included, labeled and positioned correctly. So we have a lot that come in that are missing hotspots. Unfortunately, that would not pass. And then we have a lot that are positioned on the ground, and the hotspots should be at eye level or thereabouts, just so that the flow of the tour is really apparent. Next thing, obviously a given, but please do send us the correct URL. Just please double check before you send it that it is the correct one. And then lastly, make sure it links in and out of every room. So when you're creating the tour on the desktop, I know some of you have probably done this a million times, but we are getting a lot come up that are missing the links. So there's just been a hotspot or a link missing. If you are doing it with the Vieweet app, and again, another great benefit is that it basically won't allow you to miss anything. It will intuitively guide you in and out. So yeah, it's always good to double check your tour afterwards and just make sure that it flows properly. Okay, so just quickly here, I just have a quick tour to show you. Pretty good, but there are a few things that would cause a fail, and I just wanted to go through it and walk through it with you. Okay, so obviously starting at the wrong way. So one of the reasons why the agents do not like that is because they have to turn, they're showing someone the tour and they have to turn it all the way around. So this is the shot where the property, this is the first shot that the tour should start in. It should be facing the property with the first link being the front door. Okay, so just walking into the house now. Again, it wasn't facing the right direction, so it's one of the examples that I said before where the tour is facing a wall once you hit the hotspot. So when the agents are walking through the tour, it just throws them off, and it will throw the client off as well. So just make sure that's where it should have been pointing, is into the hall. So again, wrong direction. We have to spin around again. Going into the kitchen, wrong direction again. It should be where we're going to. So everything else is great though. The hot spots are good. Everything's labeled well. So here we're now back into the back garden. We have 2 hot spots here, super important because we need that space. It's a big garden, so that's really good that this photographer did that here. Yeah, and then we have a hot spot. Again, doors open, going into the dining area. Again, facing the wrong direction. It should have been facing into the living room. We're also missing a hot spot there in the living room, unfortunately. So yeah, going back into the hall. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that all made sense for you guys. So I'm going to open it up to a Q&A now. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. Hi Mimi, regarding your comments yesterday in reference to flats, I believe you said shoot the exterior, the block of flats, and then shoot the front door of the property and link those together. And if so, doesn't imply that it's a ground floor flat next to the front entrance to the block of flats. Yes, that's a really good point. Generally speaking, the agent will, when they're walking through the property with the potential buyer, they will explain, I guess, what floor it's on. So yeah, I would say don't worry about that. Again, this is a new product. This is a new learning curve. The agents might come back to us at some point and say, actually, we don't want that, and we'll change it to something else, in which case, we'll obviously listen to them. So, but for now, that's what we've been told. If we haven't had any feedback regarding our 360s, does that mean that they are fine? Yeah, really good question. Generally speaking, yes. So we are feeding back regularly to all of the people who have any issues with their 360s, so that people are aware. And yeah, if you haven't heard anything, then that means that all is well. But if you would like me to double check for any reason, please send me an email. Your name is anonymous, so I don't know who you are, but just please send me an email, and I'll be happy to just quickly check for you. Okay, I've crashed doing my own property as the Wi-Fi picks up my home Wi-Fi, but haven't crashed while I've been out at a property. That's great. That is really, really good news. Yeah, interesting point about the home Wi-Fi. I didn't know that would be an issue, but obviously that seems to be a cause of the crash. So yeah, that's great. Also, if you guys have any pointers or tips, please feel free to add them as well. I point my camera the right way, SE2, but it never starts the tour in the right place. Okay, hi Rebecca. If you can send me an example, I've had somebody else say this as well. I've had one other person. So if you can send me an example of a tour where you are absolutely certain you are pointing the right way, just send it to me and I will send it to Vieweet, send it to me and just let me know what camera you're saying you're using the SE2. So just let me know if you're using the app or the desktop or the Ricoh app. And then I will send it to Vieweet, because if it is a Vieweet issue, that's where we can fix it. If it's an issue with the Ricoh app, unfortunately, I don't think there's much we can do about that at the moment. But if it is Vieweet, then Vieweet will definitely need to know about that. So that's really useful. So please send me an exact example and I will firmly go to them and show them. Because again, this is coming straight from the client, so we want to make sure that that we are solving any problems that we can, and if there's a problem from our end, we definitely need to fix that, or from Vieweet's end. Okay, Rebecca, thanks for clarifying you're using the Vieweet app. Okay, perfect. So if you can just send me the exact tour, I will make sure that I feed that back to Vieweet. The thing is, when we're feeding back to Vieweet, we need to give them exact examples, and we need to tell them everything that we possibly can. So if you can also, when you email me, just let me know what phone you're using as well. Because yeah, the clients have really honed in on pointing the camera in the right direction and making sure that the tour, when you click a hotspot, is actually facing the way it should. So if the Vieweet app is causing any issues, then we need to let them know right away. So yeah, thank you for that. I will send an example, but I always use the Vieweet app and I go through it and change the start point. Okay, Rebecca, does the start point, when you change it in the app, does that actually work? Because if it works, that's great. I know they were having issues with it. We've been speaking to them all last week, all this week, and they're going to be doing an update this week. So yeah. For flats, we were told to start inside the building, outside the door to the flat, not outside. So yes, there has been a bit of back and forth about flats, but let me know who told you and when. If it was a really long time ago, then it could have been an updated procedure, but the clients have asked for externals of all tours. Tony, the reason for closing a door would be because it obstructs the view of the room. An exception. Yes, I think obviously there's going to be cases where you do need to use your own intuition, but I'd be curious to see an example of that, just to see how much it obscures the room. So yeah. I have been asked by vendors if photos and number plates, etc. will be blurred out to comply with GDPR. No, they will not be blurred out. So it's something that they can speak to the agent about, but we do not blur them out at our end. We ask that nobody edits their 360 tours, and that's going to have to be something that's taken with the agent. So some agents, I don't know if you're probably already aware, but some agents will list it online, and then some agents will just use the tour to show potential buyers on the smart viewing platform. So it's more of a one-on-one walkthrough. But if anybody is concerned, if any vendor is concerned, yeah, it would be good to let the agents know, and they can sort of speak to them about that. And also, you can always take a photo and then we can take it away from our end or something if there is a problem, but we can never add a photo that isn't there, you know? So it's better just to take it anyway and then just get them to speak, or even let the agent know, but definitely just ask the vendor to call the agent on that. We were advised to have the camera at 90 degrees to a bright light source to get correct exposure. But you say to point the camera in the direction of the walkthrough. No, so I don't know where you've heard that or who advised you of that, but again, just please let me know. I'd be curious to know where that information came from, because it's the first that I've heard of it. We basically, the client really needs a really successful flow of the tour, so walking from one room to the other. In terms of the light source, yes, it used to be an issue before HDR was introduced, but HDR is now in the Vieweet app, so and it's automatically added to the photos, which makes a huge difference. Nobody has gone back to me about a 360 tour I have done. Does that mean everything has been correct? Yeah, so really similar question as before. If nobody has been in touch with you, then it means that everything's fine. So that's great. But again, if you do want some feedback just to make sure, just for peace of mind, please let me know. I'll be happy to check. And again, to reiterate sort of what I was saying at the beginning, we haven't been doing this feedback for a while, so we're starting it now, which is also potentially why you haven't heard anything. Okay. Do we get told if our 360s don't pass quality control so that we can take it on board for future? Yes, Rebecca, absolutely. That is what we are doing. We have an entire team dedicated to this, including myself. So some of you may have heard of, from me in the past week or so. We also have a few more people working on this. So if it doesn't pass, we will let you know to take it on board. What we are telling the clients is that we are letting all of our photographers know about this criteria to implement it for the future. So yeah, the consequences, and obviously what we don't want is, you know, for it to impact you. So we may ask for a revisit, we may ask to fix a hotspot, fix something in some way, shape, or form. But we obviously don't want that, especially don't want a revisit. So yeah. Okay, hi, is there an optimal height for the camera? I know eye level is too high. I tend to set the height to midpoint of the room. Hi, Rob, I hope you're well. It's been a while. Yeah, the height of the camera is a really good question. It should just be slightly higher than your standard photos. So generally 5 feet, around 5 feet. And I think if you're saying it's set to the midpoint of the room, that should be about 5 feet. So yeah, 5 feet. Okay, when I look at my saved tours, they don't all have the first shot as the first image. When I go into the tour, it is there though. Oh, really interesting. It would be good to get some examples of that. I don't know if anybody has any has that issue as well, but it's the first I've heard of it. So really strange that it wouldn't show, but yeah, it'd be good to get an example of that. If you have any screenshots or something, please send them over. If the camera faced correctly, it doesn't follow that this will be the same in the tour. If you arrive at a point from another link, this varies the camera viewpoint. Okay, so if that's the case, Tony, again, I think this is an issue potentially with the app, so just let us know. Will the capacity per tour be increased in the future? I've had several tours of larger properties where capacity has reached its limit before the tours was complete. Yes, really good question. They're updating it. We're supposed to get an update as of 6 p.m. tonight. So if anybody has any saved drafts, please upload them right away, just so that you don't avoid the update affecting them. But yeah, they're updating that. So the capacity was 20, and they're changing that as of tonight, I believe. Okay, cool. So that's all the time we have for today, guys. I'll sort of go through the rest of your questions tomorrow and reply to you individually. But thank you so much for joining today. I hope this was useful. And I hope it all made sense. But of course, if you have any questions at all, please email myself or Tom. Again, this is it might not seem like a new product, but it is, and we're really trying to make the best of it, and it's ever evolving. So thank you guys for coming along for the journey. Yeah, thank you for joining tonight. We do have another session tomorrow at 5 p.m. The presentation will be the same, but we're going to have open Q&A at the end again as well. The questions were really, really good last night. The questions were really, really good tonight. And oddly enough, all different questions pretty much. So I'm sure that the questions tomorrow will be good as well. So yeah, thank you so much guys for joining, and hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, have a good weekend. Bye.